if you're comparing yourself to someone or even to a future self, and the gap is so painful that it paralyzes you, then you've created a dragon that you don't have the tools to master. And so what you have to do is you have to scale the dragon down to size. And you want to scale the dragon down to size until it's a size that you are willing to move toward, however small that is. Now, if you're here and your ideal is here and that gap is unbearable, then you reduce the gap and you reduce the gap. And you're going to have to do that anyways, because you're not going to move from where you are to perfect in one fell swoop, right? There's going to be incremental steps. So you have to fill in that hierarchy of progression with a high enough resolution representation so that you can start to move forward. And then you should be buttressed. There's another gospel comment that's very interesting. It's called the Matthew principle. And the Matthew principle is, to those who have everything, more will be given, and from those who have nothing, everything will be taken. Now, it's brutal because it implies that reality works like this. When you're moving up, you go like this, right? And that's pretty nice. That's a lot better than this. But when you're going down, you go like that, right? It's like downhill, cliff. Okay, so you want to avoid the downhill path. Well, if the uphill path is like this, which is like exponential, let's say, or geometric, then what that means is that it doesn't matter how big the first steps you take uphill are, even if they're trivial, even if they're shameful in their size, because you're so useless, that if you're disciplined in that, you'll speed up extraordinarily rapidly. And so that's the good news, you might say, is that you can take very small steps, even ones that might be shameful in their size, and you have to admit that to yourself. But once you get the ball rolling, it doesn't roll in a linear fashion, it rolls in a geometric fashion. And this is a really good thing to know. The inner critic. In the past, when most people lived in small towns and rural communities, it was far easier to stand out and excel. Every village had its homecoming queen, its spelling bee champion, its math prodigy, its basketball hero. There were only a few mechanics, a handful of teachers. Within those smaller domains, the local champions could experience the serotonin-rich satisfaction of mastery. Perhaps this is one reason why people raised in small communities are statistically overrepresented among the highly accomplished. But today, if you're 1 in a million and you grew up in New York, you're still 1 of 20. And thanks to the internet, we're no longer measured against the 100 or 1,000 people around us. We're now stacked up against all 7 billion. The ladders of comparison have become dizzyingly high. No matter how skilled you are, there's someone whose abilities make yours look trivial. You might play guitar well, but you're not Jimmy Page or Jack White. You might cook decently, but you're not the chef who's inventing grapefruit foam or tobacco-infused ice cream. Even your most treasured family recipes can seem obsolete next to the bizarre creations of culinary elites. Someone has a bigger yacht. Someone has a more expensive watch. Even the most glamorous movie stars eventually age, becoming paranoid evil queens guarding against the rise of a younger Snow White. And you think your career is dull, your housekeeping sloppy, your tastes mediocre, your body worse than your friends, your party's a bore. Who cares if you're Prime Minister of Canada when someone else is President of the United States? Inside each of us is a judgmental voice that knows all this and won't shut up about it. That voice condemns our mediocrity, and it's not entirely useless. Standards matter. Bad music really does make life worse. Poorly built structures collapse in earthquakes. Sloppy engineering gets people killed. Failure has real-world costs, and mediocrity can be dangerous. We are not equal in skill or outcome. Never have been. Never will be. A tiny number of people produce the majority of value. The winners don't take everything, but they take most. And the bottom rungs are harsh places to live. People stuck there suffer. They get sick. They're ignored. They die in obscurity. So the inner critic tells a grim story. Life is a zero-sum game. Worthlessness is the default. The only escape, say some psychologists, is to carry positive illusions, pleasant lies that shield us from the truth. Let a lie be your umbrella. But that's a miserable philosophy. Things are so awful that only self-deception can keep you sane? There's another way, one that doesn't require lying to yourself. If the deck always seems stacked against you, maybe the game is rigged. Maybe you're the one rigging it against yourself. If the voice inside devalues everyone, from beginners to the best in the world, then maybe it's not a wise judge, but just background noise. Of course, there will always be someone better than you. That's not a profound insight. Any fool can pick a time frame or a comparison where nothing matters. Talking yourself into irrelevance isn't deep. It's just a lazy trick of the mind. Many games worth playing, better and worse, are not imaginary. They are essential. You can't act without making value judgments. Every choice assumes one option is better than another. Every activity comes with its own standards, and those standards make success and failure possible. If nothing could be done better or worse, there'd be no point in doing anything. Part of the problem is our black and white thinking. Success or failure, all good or all bad. That binary is crude and dangerous. There are many different games to play: lawyer, carpenter, doctor, plumber, teacher, and each can be a worthy pursuit. If you fail in one game, you can try another. You can even invent a new game. And you're not playing just one game. You have work, family, friendships, hobbies, physical pursuits, creative outlets. You may excel in some, stumble in others, and flounder in a few. That's normal. You may wish you were winning in every area, but maybe winning at everything means you're not doing anything difficult enough to force growth. Victory in the present might matter less than the trajectory of your life over time. At some point, you may realize that your games are so uniquely shaped by your own circumstances that comparing them to anyone else's is meaningless. Perhaps you're overvaluing what you lack and undervaluing what you have. Gratitude is an antidote to resentment. The coworker who outshines you at work might have a marriage falling apart while yours is happy. The celebrity you admire might be a bigot or a reckless drunk driver. Would you still trade lives? The inner critic plays a nasty trick. It picks one domain, fame, wealth, beauty, pretends that's the only thing that matters, then compares you to the very best in that category, and uses the gap to convince you life is unfair and hopeless. That's not wisdom. That's sabotage. As we mature, our lives become more personal, less comparable. We must leave the rigid structures of childhood, find the hidden treasures of our culture, and integrate them into our own existence. This is how life gains meaning. Knowing yourself. You are not fully your own master, nor are you your own slave. You can't simply order yourself to act and guarantee obedience. You have a nature. You can push it, but push too far, and it will rebel. Before you can set your own standards, you must treat yourself as someone you barely know and need to understand. What do you love? How much rest do you need to avoid burnout? What kind of work keeps you engaged? How must you treat yourself to keep resentment from festering? Ask what you want, really want, from relationships, work, friends. Resentment can reveal whether you're immature and should quit whining, or whether you're under real oppression and should speak up. Silence in the face of necessary conflict is deadly. When you start fantasizing about revenge, it's time to act. Taking stock. We always live in a gap between where we are and where we could be. Our eyes are built to aim at targets. Without aiming, we can't see. We must pick something to move toward, but we can aim too high, too low, or too erratically, and then live in chronic disappointment. The first step is to take stock, like hiring an inspector for a house you've just bought. You want the truth about its flaws so you can repair them. Your inner critic can help. If you learn to work with it rather than be crushed by it, the past is fixed. The future can be improved, even if only by a small amount today. Aim for tiny improvements. Negotiate with yourself as you would with a touchy coworker, respectfully, with small, fair trades. Do one thing to make today slightly better than yesterday, reward yourself, and repeat. This is how compound interest works in life. 3 years of that, and you're in a new world. What you aim at determines what you see. Psychologist Daniel Simons showed that people can miss a man in a gorilla suit walking through a basketball game if they're focused on counting passes. We don't see everything. We see what we're aiming at. The rest fades into the background. Desire narrows vision. That can blind us to opportunities right in front of us. Sometimes what we think we want isn't what we actually need, and we can't see the better path until we loosen our grip on the old one. This often requires sacrificing something precious but counterproductive. If what you're chasing breeds resentment, maybe the problem isn't that you don't have it, maybe the problem is that you want it. Letting go can reveal a whole field of possibilities you couldn't see before. Raising the aim. What if better didn't just mean better for you, but also for your family, your friends, even your enemies? What if it meant better not only today, but in a way that makes tomorrow better too, for decades, centuries, forever? This is what it means to aim at the improvement of being itself. It's the leap of faith that life could be worth its suffering if we live rightly. Not blind belief in magic, but a choice to balance life's tragedies with an irrational commitment to its potential goodness. Paying attention. The practical start. Notice something that bothers you, that you could fix, that you would fix. Start small. One drawer, one conversation, one task. Negotiate with yourself for cooperation. Reward yourself when you follow through. Ask daily, what could I do today that I would do to make life a little better? Do it for a week, then a month, then forever. Compare yourself not to who someone else is today, but to who you were yesterday.